In 1996, a 23-year-old officer died days after touching something that wasn't human. Because what he touched, looked back. It wasn't a rumor. It wasn't a story. It was skin on skin. And then the unthinkable. His defenses didn't weaken. They vanished. This happened in Varginha. Quiet streets, ordinary lives, and a secret buried in plain sight. In towns like this, secrets don't travel by television. They travel by glances, by whispers, by fear. Because days earlier, the sky above Varginha didn't look empty. It looked wrong. One man, Professor Carlos, saw it first. Not as a light, as a thing falling. He described it like a giant cigar, bleeding white smoke moving like it was injured. Then it hit, not with fireworks, with a heavy buried thud that made the ground feel alive. He didn't find wreckage like an airplane. He found fragments that felt wrong in his hand. It was thin like foil. He crushed it, expecting damage, but the damage didn't stay. It uncrumpled, not quickly, confidently, like it remembered what it was supposed to be. And that's when the town's story changed, from accident to operation. No questions, no explanations, just a perimeter built in minutes. When trucks arrive this fast, it means the story was already written somewhere else. In Varginha, everyone felt it. When the military looks at you, the air itself changes. 7 days later, it wasn't the sky people feared anymore. It was the walls. That corner became a magnet for fear. 3 girls would reach it first. They didn't see it first. They smelled it, like rotten eggs soaked in ammonia. And then they noticed the shape, too low, too still, too alive. They described brown, slick skin, 3 horn-like bumps, and a posture that looked like pain. The eyes were the part that stayed with them, red, wet, and wrong, like something was moving inside. And then the sound came, an instinctual scream, the kind the body makes before the mind understands why. In small towns, a scream is never private. It becomes a signal. Everyone hears it. Everyone inherits it. Here's what made it unforgettable. It didn't chase them. It didn't flee. It stayed. Someone came back with a light, and light doesn't comfort you when it reveals the wrong shape. Up close, the eyes didn't just glow. They reacted. They tracked, like they understood. Fear spread faster than any official report, faster than any police radio could explain. And then it entered the system. The moment rumor becomes a dispatch. Once the lights arrive, you can't pretend it was just imagination anymore. They approached like it was an armed suspect. But no training covers a thing that smells like chemicals and stares like an animal. It wasn't charging. It wasn't cold. It was enduring, like something stranded. Even through gloves, they hesitated, because instinct said, don't touch. And then something bigger arrived, faster than any normal chain of command should allow. In minutes, the neighborhood stopped belonging to the people who lived there. No explanations, just a hand in your face, and the message, you didn't see anything. Whatever it wasn't a rumor anymore. It was about to be handled, like evidence. They didn't talk about what it was. They treated it like a package that could leak. It moved, just enough to remind them it was alive. They carried it out like evidence, heavy, leaking, and never meant for daylight. If it was nothing, why did they treat the air around it like poison? And just like that, the town's proof became cargo, locked behind metal. Once it left that street, the truth stopped belonging to witnesses and started belonging to paperwork. They didn't take it to a police station. They took it away, like it was never supposed to exist here. Places like this don't open for rumors. They open for orders. Once the bay door closes, the outside world becomes irrelevant. The smell wasn't just bad, it was chemical, like something not meant to mix with our air. They didn't carry it anymore. They restrained it, like it might wake up at the wrong moment. If you wanted to hide a living secret, you wouldn't keep it in the street. You'd roll it into a place like this. Locks don't just keep people out, they keep stories in. They said it didn't fight. It endured, like something stranded between worlds. And that's where the story stops being folklore. It starts smelling like medicine. When the tarp rises, you either see a mistake or you see a new chapter of biology. They recorded it, not for the public, for someone who would never stand in that room. The town didn't stop seeing it just because the trucks left. One name keeps returning in the stories that followed. Marco, young, healthy, and about to become the cost of contact. Because they didn't mobilize like this for a street rumor. They mobilized because something had already fallen from the sky. 7 days earlier, witnesses described a giant cigar bleeding white smoke, moving like it was injured. It hit with a buried thud, heavy enough to turn a rumor into a response. Carlos didn't find airplane wreckage. He found pieces that felt wrong, too light, too clean, too deliberate. He crushed it, expecting damage, but the damage didn't stay. It uncrumpled, confidently, like it remembered what it was supposed to be. The moment he proved it was real was the moment he lost control of it. No questions, no explanations, just a perimeter, built in minutes. When trucks arrive this fast, it means the story was already written somewhere else. He didn't hand it over willingly. He surrendered because the alternative was worse. They didn't pocket it. They boxed it, like it could infect the story if left exposed. From that moment on, Carlos became a spectator to his own discovery. They didn't clean up the scene. They erased it. 7 days passed. The wreckage vanished. But something else didn't. People avoided that corner before they could explain why. It wasn't a prank. It was a shape that didn't belong to any human body. That stare is what people remember. Not the horns, not the skin. The stare. That's when the town's secret stopped being quiet. And just like that, the rumor became a dispatch. The dispatch became a lockdown. Once the lights arrive, the street stops being a street. It becomes a scene. Marco was trained for criminals, not for biology, not for contact that kills without leaving a bruise. He stepped in like it was a suspect, but the smell told him it wasn't human. The beam found it the way a finger finds a bruise, slowly, unwillingly. Up close, it didn't just stare, it reacted, like it understood it was being hunted. This is the moment the story turns into a tragedy. The hand moves closer. He touched it, bare skin, no barrier, no second thought. He didn't just touch it, he took hold of it. Whatever it carried, it crossed over in a single smear. The town watched it disappear, alive, into the machinery of secrecy. At first, he tried to wash it off, as if water could erase a boundary he already crossed. It started small. That's how the body lies, until it can't. A few days later, the hospital didn't find a bullet wound. It found a body losing its rules. One doctor later said, it was like the immune system simply stopped answering. He was conscious. He could feel it happening, his body turning against itself. The body tried to correct itself, like a system rebooting, without success. To prove an infection, you look for invaders. But what if the invader is the body's own silence? It only took one smear, one decision, 1 second of contact. They moved like they were trying to outrun a clock no one could see. He wasn't dying loudly. He was fading, like a signal losing strength. And then it happened. The body stopped defending itself, completely. This is why his funeral matters, because it connects the town's nightmare to a human cost. Years later, doctors spoke in whispers, because what they saw wasn't supposed to leave the room. They brought a black bag, and the smell arrived before anyone opened it. The doctors weren't in charge. The men with guns were. They said the warning was simple: talk, and you disappear. They brought it to radiology first, as if an image could explain what words couldn't. They didn't open it. They peeked, like curiosity could be lethal. Once the machine starts, you can't pretend you're not involved. Witnesses later claimed one of them went still right there after the imaging. Doctors say you can feel a room change when something crosses the line from alive to not. If it died, they didn't mourn, they moved it. But there was another one, and this one, according to witnesses, went to surgery. Once those doors close, the story becomes a sealed chamber. Doctors later said the smell clung to them, like it got inside the skin, not on it. Under surgical light, the texture was unmistakable, wet, foreign, like biology written in a different alphabet. Even in a room built for healing, the guns stayed close, just in case truth tried to escape. Some witnesses later described a strange haze, like the air itself reacted when they began. They kept working, because stopping would mean admitting they were afraid. They said the smell followed them, into their homes, into their sleep. When they moved the body, they moved the story with it, into rooms with no witnesses. And then came the strangest claim of all, that it didn't speak with a mouth, it spoke through the mind. After the operation, no one rushed to talk. The room was left to remember. Some said they felt pulled back, like the room was unfinished business. The body was gone. The impression wasn't. Doctors later struggled to describe it because it wasn't a sound. They said it arrived as pressure, then meaning. Not words, not images, understanding delivered whole. The message wasn't a threat, it was disappointment. They said it felt like being told, you could be more. You have vast potential, but you live far below it. More than one person felt it, at the same time. Whatever happened, it wasn't theirs to keep. The message ended where secrecy began, at the door. No one ever saw it again. Most of them stayed quiet, not because they wanted to, because silence was safer. Officially, nothing happened here. They said it was nothing more than a homeless man. Witnesses became jokes. For the girls who screamed that night, the story never ended. Time passed, streets healed, but memory didn't. Some tried to move on. Their bodies refused. They didn't just see it once, they saw it forever. For many, it became a punchline. Authorities had their answer ready. A homeless man? A misunderstanding. Case closed. For the witnesses, denial felt like a second violation. Sleep became another casualty, and when sleep came, it brought the eyes back. The body remembered even when the world pretended not to. Years didn't erase it, they only buried it deeper. Outside Brazil, questions refused to die. The story crossed borders. Rumors pointed to foreign involvement. If something was taken, it never came back. Too many witnesses, too many coincidences. Skeptics called it mass hysteria. Truth, like night, arrived quietly, because some questions don't fade, and some truths may be watching us still. After the noise faded, the silence stayed. Some said the uniforms never really left. Paper trails don't disappear by accident. Medical truth met administrative silence. Calls came. No names, clear messages. Most chose to survive quietly. A single explanation repeated often enough became official truth. Timelines refused to agree. Some insiders talked, carefully. Too small for a man, too precise for a rumor. One death refused to fit the story. No pathogen identified, no explanation given. Everything pointed back to the same night, and then the doors closed. Belief didn't need permission. Decades later, the questions returned. Some files opened. Most stayed black. What happened here refuses to stay buried, especially when you remember the eyes. And the hardest question remains, what did we really encounter? The corner is empty now, but the town never really forgot what sat here. Too many pieces fall into the same sequence to be dismissed as a joke. 3 girls, 1 location, 1 smell, 1 scream that matched, independently. You don't lock down a town over a homeless man. Marco was 23, healthy. Then his immune system collapsed like a switch flipped. Hospitals don't move like that unless something is wrong. Multiple staff described the same thing, a stench that clung for days. They claimed it didn't speak with a mouth, it spoke with presence. We feel sorry for you. You have vast potential, but you live far below it. Whatever was there, left under cover of darkness. Rumors say the story didn't stay Brazilian for long. And just like that, evidence became skiki. The official line didn't change, because changing it would admit it mattered. They lived with the sense of being watched, even when no one was there. In a small town, ridicule spreads faster than truth. Some witnesses said the event didn't just steal a day, it stole a life. If the government was right, then why did so many people pay such a price? So tell me,